Hello.
Hello. So Mo's in the house,
I am. Good
Dr.
morning.
Maureen, and we're waiting now. Limor's going to be joining us. So we got some hearts there. So I'm so excited about today because we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects.
Mine too.
Orgasms.
Who doesn't love an orgasm, man?
Who doesn't love an orgasm? Woo! I've studied them in the lab, and I can tell you a lot about what happens in the brain in an orgasm.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure, Limor's here. She's coming on. Dr. Limor Gottlieb joining the party. She's unable to join. What happened? Let's see. I'm going to accept it. Okay. Here, she should be able to join now. Yay! Where is she? She declined? What's going on here?
I don't know. Last week I had a little trouble getting on too, and then I somehow tried again.
I'm re-inviting her. Would you close that door? You know, sometimes it's just like an orgasm. Sometimes you try. There she is.
Hi, here I am.
You know what I was going to say, Limor, having trouble getting onto the meeting reminds me a lot of when sometimes we have trouble having our orgasms find us. It's not always so easy. So today we're going to talk about everything about the Big O, the benefits, and also I think we should touch a little bit on the challenges. So we're going to talk about the medical benefits.
Yes, we are.
The relational, what happens in the brain. We'll also mention that orgasms are so good for you that an orgasm a day might be exactly the medicine that you need to help your stress go away. In fact, the Magic Wand company is now enrolling subjects into a study, and they're looking for women, people with vulvas is the way they say it, over 56 who would like to participate in the study. What they're going to look at, they have people of all ages, but they especially need women over 56 to see what the benefits are of having an orgasm a day. And they're going to send you a magic wand if you get enrolled. So that's
worth it.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a magic wand?
Exactly.
So before we start, should we do just a bit of a breath thing?
Let's do it.
We probably
we all need it. We always need it.
Limor, you just moved continents. I don't know why you might need to take a deep breath. Mo just
I
missed
don't
the
know.
meeting.
And there's also a little one roaming around.
And a little one, which is sometimes what happens when you have the Big O. You can.
I missed a meeting. And I have a flat tire, so I need a deep breath too.
You need it.
Yes,
we all need it.
Yep.
I don't know.
So let's take a long, smooth inhale, full permission to be however we are in the moment. Longer, smooth exhalation, releasing to the gentle pull of gravity. And giving ourselves full permission to be as we are. Full permission for the moment to be as it is. And I think what I'd like to dedicate my breath to today is to really remember that pleasure is not a luxury. It's a necessity for a well-functioning emotional brain and body and a good life, so that even when we're feeling a little stressed out, I don't know why we might feel stressed out, because there's things to feel stressed out about, that we can make a commitment, maybe an orgasm a day, or we don't even have to strain to have the orgasm, just creating some pleasurable practice every day, whether it's stimulating our genitals or kind of stimulating our minds with some and our bodies with some pleasure.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna zip it now, and I'm gonna let my fabulous co-hosts talk about anything and everything they want about the Big O. Take it away. Boom.
I can start because I feel like in my clinical practice, there's always a theme. And this week, actually, the theme was orgasms. And more specifically, 2 questions. Why can I not have an orgasm with my partner, but I can do it by myself? And 2, can my male partner or my partner with a penis tell when I fake it, because I fake it. And I actually pulled up the clip from When Harry Met Sally twice and actually showed that to two of my younger clients who were like, wow, that you're old, but this was hysterical. To kind of show them that, like, yes, we don't communicate well in bed sometimes, and we don't often share with our partners that things are not kind of meeting our pleasure. But it got me thinking about orgasms, because I had to keep talking to patients about them. And they really are, like, they're good for you, right? Like, in a medical sense, they're a stress reliever. They absolutely release endorphins, which can, like, promote relaxation. And honestly, as Emily Nagoski's kind of famous for telling people in her books, like, they complete the stress cycle. So, like, when you get to release all that tension, it actually is very beneficial to your level of stress, which, after my flat tire and everything else, it might be a day for that. But there's a lot of other health benefits that we know about too. I mean, there's studies that show that you have improved fitness to a small degree, but improved cardiovascular fitness. It can lower blood pressure. You have improved circulation when you have orgasms, and more frequently. Like, those benefits wouldn't necessarily negate each other. There's not a lot of long-term studies about frequent orgasms, but if orgasms in general will do that, more orgasms can only be more beneficial. The biggest thing that I've found, and I try to tell my patients, is that they actually help with pain relief.
Oh,
So
yes.
they're like a natural painkiller.
Yes.
And honestly, it's amazing. But, like, headaches and menstrual cramps are probably two of the most important things that can absolutely improve after an orgasm. Limor, have you ever experienced that, or talked to patients or clients about that? Or
Well, there are many studies that show that orgasms relieve pain, menstrual pain, and then also with anxiety, right? So I think this is the most important thing when we experience an orgasm, and that can be self-pleasure, right? And I wanted to circle back to what you said about why a lot of women struggle to have orgasm with a partner. So I'm gonna go to that, but first of all, yes, definitely it's anxiety relieving. And it can be, you can have it, in your bath, or, set the scene. It's, just create a relaxing environment. Sorry, my son is shouting out.
Okay, that's
He's probably not comfortable with this conversation. He's like, out. You want to go out? Okay, you can open the door. Mama cannot right now, sorry. So yes, and then why a lot of women struggle to have orgasms with their partners is because a lot of people don't have sex the way they do when they're on their own. So
absolutely.
If you experience orgasms by, I don't know, touching yourself in a certain way, especially if it's not penetrative sex, how do you then expect your partner to give you an orgasm through penetration if on your own you don't achieve an orgasm through penetration? So I think that what we always say every week, communication is key.
It is.
And really getting to know your body and what makes you come, and then communicate that to your partner. And there's nothing sexier than a woman or any person who knows their body and knows what turns them on. So just that confidence, and I don't know anyone who doesn't want to pleasure their partner, right?
Yeah. So I want to jump in and talk about a little bit what we discovered when we did the brain studies of orgasm. But I would love to comment that one of the most challenging things for women in particular about having orgasms is there's so many distractions. So Limor is living that right now. Not that she's trying to have an orgasm, but she's trying to have a conversation. So these distractions, whether they're external or internal, when, like I say, a watched orgasm never boils. So that's why it's really good not to strive towards the orgasm. And as much as we love the benefits of orgasm, I would say that we don't want to prioritize and strain and struggle to have an orgasm.
That's true.
Even things, people can have genital stimulation, sex with themselves or with somebody else and not have an orgasm and can actually feel more satisfied than some people when they're having orgasms. So it's not the be all end all. But I will tell you, we clearly showed evidence that the parts of the brain that release all the feel good, good for you hormones, including pain reduction, mood enhancement, all get activated by genital stimulation, and then they peak at orgasm.
Yeah.
So another reason why women can have orgasms with partners, in addition to the issues about are they getting the right kind of stimulation, is the sense of self-consciousness. And what we know is that women tend to be self-conscious about their bodies because we get
Absolutely.
trained that we're supposed to look a certain way.
Yes.
We also can, if we're not feeling safe and enough to relax and let go. And a lot of women aren't feeling particularly safe right now in their partnerships. Like women really need to feel safe before they can relax into sex.
But
For men, the big distraction is sexual functioning. Is the penis going to stay hard? People like when you get into observation mode instead of experiencing mode, which is why I say when I help women who they haven't ever had an orgasm, which is actually pretty easy to treat. A lot of it is letting them tune into the sensation channel.
Yeah.
Let the sensations build and let the orgasms find you.
Yeah, they're spectatoring, so they're like thinking about it kind of as an outside observer, or they're making a grocery list. Some women are so multitasking and so unfocused on the moment. I find that like just teaching them to try to bring their thought processes back to what they're feeling and what they're doing. Sometimes that's enough. Just being conscious that like you can't be sitting there either judging your body, which is one of the biggest killers of sex drive, is like low, poor body image or poor self-esteem, and that's really big for women. But the other thing is just being distracted and not being in the moment. Like you're having sex, like someone is pleasuring your body, someone's touching you, someone's kissing you, like tune back in. And if you can focus on what you feel, which is how I counsel people, usually that's enough. But you would know more about the neuroscience of that than I do.
Well, one thing is I have an exercise I write about in my book that comes from our studies where women could just literally think their brains into orgasm by having imagery of something pleasurable. So if you touch your body, including your genitals, and then just think about touching it, what you're doing is you are creating a strengthening of the pathways from your genitals up into the sensory cortex, what we call the brain's crotch. I like to call it that way. And what you do is you really can turn up the channel, the sensation channel. And a lot of us live in our heads. I mean, I teach what I need to know. I'm in my head so much that we forget we even have bodies. So even if we just devote every day to doing something pleasurable in our bodies, how can our bodies become places of pleasure again? That's my question for
And I
people.
think it can start small. So what I like to recommend is it can even be while you're enjoying a meal. So really just focusing on these pleasurable moments, because a lot of times we just go through our day without being fully mindful of what we're doing, and we miss a lot of pleasure. And I think the focus in general also for men who have performance anxiety is just to focus on pleasure and giving your partner pleasure. Also, when the focus is on somebody else, you make it less about you. So, how can I pleasure someone else? How can I enjoy this moment? And like I said, it can be enjoying a meal, enjoying the sunshine, whatever it is. It can be really that small, but allowing yourself to really experience pleasure. And then you can journal about it, right? Like 5 things that gave you pleasure today. I know a lot of us practice the gratitude journal, which is very similar. If we're grateful for things, we can experience pleasure. So
And
what gave us pleasure today? And then getting more in touch with that, and then you can focus on your body and where you experience. So it can be like a hot shower, or the water stream. And so really small things. It doesn't need to be sexual. It just really feeling like the somatic experience of life. And then you can gradually introduce, like, feathers, or like lingerie, how certain fabric feels on your body, and then kind of experiment with that if you want to gradually go there. If you don't want to just go like masturbate immediately, you can just focus on pleasuring yourself in whatever ways. And it can even be just eating a piece of chocolate.
So
that's the best.
being in your sensations,
Yes.
being in your experience and tuning into the body channel is a very good physical, emotional wellness practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's paradoxical in a way that we're talking about like the benefits of the big O. And we're also saying that it's really, the big O is not the point. The point is being in your pleasure body,
Yes.
opening up to pleasure. Not because you know what happens. You know what really can screw up your sex life is thinking about what's happening when you're having sex.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was doing my dissertation experiments and going to the lab every day and scanning people's brains when they were, genital stimulation, I come home and I'm going, when I would have sex, I'm like, what's going on in my brain? And I'm like going, oh, that's not helpful. So
I've never had that experience.
The
man,
more
but
you know.
I've had different ones because
and
I
I'm like,
look at body parts all day.
You're looking at body parts. In fact, my gynecologist used to say he didn't want to see nude women on vacation. It was too much like work, going to a
I've
nude
heard
beach.
this one before. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the paradox is by not struggling to the goal of the big O or the orgasm, what we can do is we can be in the experience. And you know what? When you can tune into the sensations, what happens is they register much more acutely in the sensory brain. If you're distracted, the sensory brain is not even registering the sensations. It's like it's not even happening in your brain so much.
Yeah.
So the takeaway lesson, ladies, is like be there in your body, have fun in your body.
And there's
Stop
also a small O, not always big
Yeah.
O.
Not every orgasm is huge. And, everybody, and it's going to wax and wane. The other thing I'd like to say about having genital stimulation, it actually, an orgasm will increase your testosterone levels. So there are women that I work with in my practice who they get to the point where they couldn't really care less if they ever have sex again. These are women in long-term relationships who are working really hard in and out of the house.
Yeah.
And
I see these women too.
You see them too.
Yes.
What I say is like, it's, first of all, if that's your decision, it's a perfectly reasonable thing if that's what you want. But if you happen to be married to somebody who wants to have sex or a partner with somebody who wants to have sex, then it's, becomes an issue because their needs and wants are important. But what people notice is for women, the more they have sex, the more they want to have sex. Often they'll report. And part of it is that testosterone that's released when we have sex. Testosterone's the hormone that's responsible for the sex drive in both sexes. And that's actually true of men, that after having sex, their hormone levels go up, believe it or not. So you're not going to use up your testosterone by having sex. Don't worry about that, men.
Oh, you're not.
Only if you get married and have kids. That's a different topic.
And it's perfectly natural for people to lose their interest in sex when they have small children.
Yeah.
So, sometimes even men, but more so for women.
Every time I meet a new mom who finds out what I'm doing, the first thing is, tell me about sex after birth. It's such a big topic for women, and a lot of women feel the pressure or feel, beaten down by this whole having to have sex, or they want to, but they're not in the mood. And then it causes conflict in relationships.
It definitely does.
And people need to, like, mostly what they need to do is communicate, because that's the number one sex issue, is lack of communication. And understanding that it's perfectly normal, that it's very common for people's sex drives to wax and wane. If you reassure the partner, like, okay, I get it. I may not be all that much into it, but I get that this is important to you. And guess what? I like to feel like sex is fun again. I want to get back my mojo. We just got a comment. I used to have trouble to get an orgasm because of overthinking it until I met my sex toys. So sex toys can be big partners.
God bless
in
sex
discovery.
toys. Yeah.
So in terms of kind of wrapping it down, winding it down, what are you going to do for pleasure today? Let's talk about that. What are you going to do to enjoy your day?
Let's see. Well, the sun is shining here, and I'm in upstate New York, where we get very little sun and lots of overcast skies. But even with a tire blowout, I am going to be grateful that the sun is shining. I'm going to walk my dog. I'm making pizza for everybody for dinner tonight. And I am going to hopefully have lunch with a friend today. So I'm looking forward to kind of communicating and having time to talk to a friend and to do things for my family that I enjoy. So I'm like not cleaning, but I don't mind cooking. Yeah, and enjoy the sunshine. Like, we get so little of it here that I am just it's hard to be mad that I blew a tire when the sun's shining.
Cool.
Maybe I'll have an orgasm. I don't know.
I was going to say, I
Yes.
think what I'm going to commit to, and this is going to be something I think is a good idea, I'm going to commit to the orgasm a day practice.
Tell us how
I like it.
going.
It's a
I'm going to
challenge.
commit to it,
It's a
because
commitment.
one of the things that's going on in my life is that we have a multi-generational house again. So my daughter and her partner and the baby living here. So it's like just not like as for me conducive to think about just going off and taking time to pleasure myself. But you know what? Maybe that's an overshare. Maybe I can do it anyway. So I'm going to practice what I preach. And I'll let you know how it's going.
You're in good company. I overshare a lot, but you have to let us know how it's going.
Anybody want to join me in the orgasm a day and make
I
doctor
know
go away?
we should have
We
the
should
challenge.
Try.
Yes,
I will try.
Why don't we start a thing here? Because it actually, when you think about what's going on culturally, where people are so uptight and so dysphoric and so distressed, it's going on.
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients who are therapists, and they're all telling me that their practices are blowing up with people having all sorts of anxiety. So maybe we can, as women in particular, prioritize our sexual pleasure as a political act.
Yeah. Let's do that. Because that's the thing, right? Like, being able to have sex for pleasure without consequences is a lot easier for people with penises than people with vaginas. So I'm going to do it. The feminist in me is going to join you, Nan. We're going to report back and see how we're doing. Limor, what are you doing
Count
today
me
for
in,
pleasure?
and I will lead by example to all moms, because
With
we
little
can
kids.
sneak in those moments. We
Yes.
can.
It's harder with teenagers.
Really?
Yes.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me it gets harder.
But the good news is teenagers go out by themselves.
They
When our
do.
kids were little, what we
they're
used to do
home.
when they were little enough to keep themselves alive for like an hour.
Yeah.
We tell them we're going into our room, we're having parent privacy time. I think I mentioned this, and they would put notes under the door. But you know what? It's kind of like going off the path as part of the path. that it's really good to remember that prioritizing, finding the way to activate your pleasure chemicals in your brain is actually, it's not like a frivolous thing. It's actually
It's
better than an
important.
Well,
antidepressant
and
if you
it's
don't need one.
important for our children considering we co-regulate, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
I love that
when
point.
when we're anxious, we're doing no good for our
Or
children. As much
frustrated
as
or
we want to.
angry.
Yeah.
So we can ask our viewers if they'd like to join us in the Orgasm a
Challenge.
Day Makes the Stress Go Away thing. We can keep you posted. We can create some conversations online about how it's going. It reminds me a little of the Seinfeld thing where they were doing the opposite. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
Seinfeld, where they were
Master of
trying
your domain.
master. Oh,
The
somebody
master of your
says this has
domain.
got me in the mood for more sex. Do you have
Yes.
more live conversations? Yeah. We're going to do live conversations for now, I think on Friday mornings. Is that kind of the plan?
For
This
now,
regularly
yeah.
scheduled time because it's working. And we're eventually going to have guests. I think the first guest I'd like to invite is a man. Would that be
Perfect.
okay?
That'd be awesome.
There's a Steve Campbell, who is Dr. Candice Nicole is in the house.
Woo!
Woo! She's
Hey!
fantastic. Every
Awesome.
Friday, please, Dr. Candice Nicole. I'd like to actually enjoy her joining us next time. We want to have good guests like these people in here. She said yay. So let's invite her.
So many things
What are
to
you
talk
doing
about.
next Friday at 10, Dr. Candice Nicole, you can join us. She says, yeah.
Yay.
And so let's make this a thing, the ongoing pleasure project.
Yeah.
So, and I was going to
I
invite
love
Steve
it.
Campbell at some point to talk about his book for men, about really how men can be better for themselves and in relationships, which would be great, especially with what's going on with toxic masculinity. I don't know where that's coming from. Duh. Okay. So an orgasm today makes the toxic lifestyle go away, hopefully. And we'll see you next week, same time, same place.
Yes.
Okay.
We're here.
Love y'all.
All right.
Have a pleasurable rest of your day.
Where's the button to stop this? In the right corner, I think. Bye.
All right.
Don't
Bye,
forget to
everybody.
save and share.
Bye.
Man.
Tune
Bye,
in
Limor.
next week.
See ya.
Bye-bye.